presentation. So my goal is to get you out of here as quickly as possible. Now, I've been hounding all of you to attend the seminar this morning. I've been hounding everybody, and I got what I wanted, so thanks for sitting in. I do appreciate you sitting in for this. I know that the new DigSafe law has been a big topic. Actually, as of November 1st of last year, a couple months ago, the new DigSafe law took effect. Many of you know about it, some of you don't. So I'd like to go over just the basic elements of it so everybody's up to speed come springtime. Who am I? My name's Lisa Powers. I'm the Public Relations Director of DigSafe. I'm responsible for all aspects of public outreach, training, our website, any written communications, our newsletters. I've been with the organization for about 20 years now. And like I said, I had to take away a lot of topics because I have not a lot of time to present this stuff. So if I'm not hitting a topic that you wish I would, please speak up. I'm going to try to leave some time at the end for Q&A. And if I'm unclear on a topic, please speak up. I tend to speak fast, but I'm even going to be speaking faster today. So let me get going on this. I like to begin the presentations talking about what DigSafe is and what DigSafe isn't, because a lot of people who deal with DigSafe on a regular basis, believe it or not, they get what we do wrong. And this is right in your way, I bet. DigSafe does not mark underground utilities, but everybody thinks we do. Actually, we're a call center located in Woburn, Massachusetts, and we're funded by all of the utility companies that mark all the underground lines to take the call for them. So instead of you calling your local electric, phone, cable, gas companies for utility markout, utility companies fund DigSafe to take that call for you. We're sort of a clearinghouse. You call us, we notify the utilities. It's those folks that mark out underground utility lines. Or those utilities can outsource that function, the locating function, to private utility locating firms. A big one in this area now is Premier Locating, on Target Locating Services out here. I know they mark for a few electric and cable companies in this area. Some utility companies choose to mark their own underground facilities. I know the gas company, the big one, National Grid, they use their own employees out there. So just know that when you're dealing with the folks who actually mark out underground utilities, it isn't DigSafe. It's actually each utility company that we notify to mark out for you. And I'm probably way ahead of myself because that was just the first two slides, but let me just get going on this. We're actually a private, not-for-profit organization. You don't pay a dime for DigSafe. The utility companies pick up the tab for that. We charge them according to how many miles of underground utilities they own or maintain in a given service territory. Verizon is DigSafe's #1 customer in Rhode Island simply because they own more buried underground facilities than anyone else. So Verizon pays more into DigSafe than anyone else. We're open from Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you have a 12-hour window 5 days a week to phone in for your locate requests. If you have an emergency situation, and I know people in the room here deal with emergencies on a regular basis, we're actually open 24 hours. If you call us nights, weekends, holidays, you're still going to dial the same phone number. At that point, your call's going to get routed to our answering service. They're located in Kentucky. But the nice thing about them is they do nothing but dispatch one-call requests during off hours. Not just for DigSafe New England, but several other versions of DigSafe throughout the country. They do Connecticut, Kentucky, Florida, a bunch of different ones. So hopefully at night, weekends or holidays when we're not around, you're not going to notice any difference in the level of service when you phone for a DigSafe number. However, these folks have a thick southern drawl. They're from Kentucky. They're going to ask you to spell those street names and town names, so please be patient with them. Our phone number is 888-DIG-SAFE. Please don't make the mistake of dialing 1-800-DIG-SAFE, unless you're digging in Kansas. That's their phone number. And when we changed to 888, when the new toll-free exchanges became available, the 877-866-888, we bought up all those phone numbers thinking, what a great idea. We can actually have our company name embedded right into our phone number. But too many people are phoning Kansas with 1-800. So please remember that. You may have gotten wind of another phone number that also works to reach us, which is 811. Now the FCC mandated 811 about 3 years ago, April of 2007. And basically, if you're a guy from Wyoming and you pick up the phone and dial 811, you're going to go to DigSafe's version, Wyoming's version of DigSafe, and if you're in California, it'll send you to their call center. We're sort of networked on 811, so if you want to dial them, please feel free to do so. If you do have property outside of our 5-state territory, which is Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, or Vermont, say you're in Connecticut, if you dial 811, you're going to go to Connecticut's call center. So just please be careful if you use that 3-digit dialing exchange that you know who you're speaking with to ask for a utility locate request. Also, we're having a problem with Well, see, 811, the 9 is right next to the 8 on your dial pad on your phone, and we're getting a significant amount of misdialed 911 calls, which obviously we're not equipped to handle. So please please just be very careful when you're not dialing 911 to try to reach DigSafe. Just to give you an idea of how busy we are, we take about 500,000 locate requests in one given year, which translates into about 2.6 million outbound calls to our member utility companies. So the phone's ringing off the hook at DigSafe. And that's going to kind of lead me into, I'm just going to breeze through these slides, it's going to kind of lead me into what has changed about the DigSafe law, how many calls we're getting in this state. We also don't regulate or enforce the DigSafe law. I'm at a lot of trade shows, and people approach me with a fine that they got from the state, and they want to argue their point. They want me to throw away this violation. I don't have the authority to do that. I work for a call center. If you've seen the DigSafe truck outside, I've got the logo and the website and the phone number splashed all over the vehicle. You can't miss me on the road. And it's funny, when I take a lunch break and go to get a sandwich, and if I happen to pass a road crew or a construction site or landscapers, everybody stops what they're doing while I pass by. Again, I can't get out of the truck and give anybody a hard time. DigSafe has zero authority in this game, but there is, however, a state agency that is charged with the regulation and enforcement of the DigSafe law. First change up for the Rhode Island DigSafe law is an increase in fines. You guys used to be $200 for an infraction of the DigSafe law. It was the lowest fine structure in the country, which I'm sure you all enjoyed for a very long time, but the state was looking to put a little bit more teeth into the law. So people would really pay attention to what they were doing and do the right things. DigSafe, by the way, doesn't see a dime of the fine money that's collected. It goes into your state's general fund. I have no idea where that money goes from there, but we don't see a dime of it. First offense now is $350. Any subsequent offense thereafter can go up to $2,500. Now, if those numbers are scary to you, just know that if you commit a first offense fine and we're assessed $350 fine, if you go 12 calendar months after that violation, incident-free, your slate is wiped clean. So if you ever, God forbid, hit another utility line, it wouldn't be the subsequent offense. So you would have to have multiple violations in 12 calendar months to get hit with a $2,500 fine. So hopefully you guys won't ever have to deal with that. There are certain utility members that have to be networked with DigSafe. They have to help pay for us. They have to receive notification from us. When you call us, they have to be ready to receive that message from us. And in this state, that's gas, electric, telecommunications, cable television is new, folks, and private water companies. Before cable TV, I think Cox Cable was already a member. There may be few cable TV operators out there that weren't part of the DigSafe program, but now they are. They have to be as of November 1st, 2008. That's when the law became effective, folks. Private water companies have to join DigSafe as well, but there is a big glaring exemption in the DigSafe law. And in this room, I'm sure this is no shock to any of you guys. Cities and towns are exempt from participating in the DigSafe program to protect water, sewer, and drainage. Now, municipals aren't exempt from calling us when they dig. You're an excavator in that case, and everybody has to call when they excavate. By this I mean you don't have to be a participating member of DigSafe. You don't have to receive notification from us to mark out. Now, the law does say that if a contractor or an excavator calls you directly for a mark out, you have to help them out with that, but you don't have to be networked with DigSafe to do so. Now, I know this last bill carried, that was one element of the law. I know Rhode Island's been pushing for mandatory municipal membership for years and years and years. I've seen it go on for 20 years. It never happened. It still didn't happen. But I will put my sales cap on for a quick moment. If you guys are not a participating member of DigSafe and you would like to look into it to see if it's worth the investment to protect your underground facilities, we charge you $1 a call. Now, there's a handful of voluntary municipal members that go above and beyond what the law requires. I know Woonsocket, Tiverton, and I'm going to be missing a bunch of them, Pascagoula, Prudence Island, North Kingstown, Pawtucket, Providence, East Providence, a bunch do join anyway, but if you're among those who don't, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that after the presentation. But for now, if you're an excavator, if you're a contractor and you're digging in a particular city or town, and when we tell you who we're notifying to mark out for you, when you're on the phone with us, if we're not saying a city or town, that's your tip-off, that you have to make another phone call. I would love to use the tagline in my advertising, one call does it all. It's real snappy, but I can't because it would be loud. it might be one call, then another call to the city or town. What is an excavation? A lot of people ask, well, what types of activities warrant a call to dig safe? I've got the whole, I don't expect anybody to read this. This is the definition, but I want to call your attention to all the verbs up here: blasting, augering, backfilling, test boring, drilling, pile driving. If you actually looked at the dig safe law, it occupies a whole page, all those verbs. Put it this way, if you're digging, basically that means if you're moving the surface of the earth or displacing the earth in any way, that's considered digging, and you would need to call dig safe. Even though shallow excavations can get you in a lot of trouble, you never know how deep an underground line is. You know what it should be, but sometimes the conditions are such that it's not. So anytime you break ground in the state of Rhode Island, you need to notify dig safe. It's considered digging. There are a few exemptions. I don't have time for them on our website, or you can talk to me about it afterwards. When do you have to call dig safe? What areas on the ground require dig safe notification? Now, in Rhode Island, it says if you're working within 100 feet of buried underground facilities, whether that's public or private property, you've got to call dig safe, which begs the question, how do I know whether I'm within 100 feet? That's just it. If you're not 100% sure, you have to call. Put it this way, if you hit an underground facility without first notifying dig safe, you are automatically guilty in the state's eyes. Don't even bother showing up for a hearing to argue your case because you are just guilty. So you make sure to call for each and every location. Now here's basically a summary of what is new with the law. Now before I present this, I want to tell you, I've been around for a while. I've seen several attempts to get this stuff into the dig safe law in Rhode Island, and like I said, year after year, any bill that was put together was, fell apart. A lot of compromise has happened with the Utility Contractors Association of Rhode Island and the state of Rhode Island PUC. So what you're about to see is a compromise. It's pro-contractor and it's pro-utility. Some of this stuff you may think is a horrible idea, but I'm sure that some of you guys will love certain elements of this because it's going to help you out as well. The first is to pre-mark the location on the ground before notifying dig safe. Now I will say in our 5-state region, Rhode Island was the last one to adopt this. I'll even go further to say there's only a handful of states in the country that still don't have pre-marking legislation. So you guys are up to speed. Pre-marking is not complicated. All you want to do is designate an area on the ground where you plan on digging. So when the locators get there, there's no question in their mind where you want to dig. It cuts down on excess graffiti. It helps to define your excavation area. I'm digging right here. So they want you to do this using white. As you know, there's a color code system. And at my booth, I passed out those wallet-sized color code cards. I stripped the slide from the presentation, but gas is yellow, red is electric. White kind of stands out as pre-mark because it's not designated for a utility. So you want to pre-mark in white. If there's snow on the ground, which this question always comes up, and the law didn't address it, so every state is saying in our territory, if it's the winter time and you've got snow on the ground, you can pre-mark in whatever color you have available, provided that when you're calling in for the dig safe number, you tell us what color that is. There has been damage attributed to contractor pre-marking in orange. Then the phone company will come out and lay out their multiple fiber duct bank in orange, side by side, and the contractor will mistake his own pre-mark for the utility markup and rip everything up in one fell swoop. So make sure that you let the utilities know by telling us what color it is you're using in the snow. Another color that the locators are trying to promote is hot pink. Now hot pink isn't attached to any specific utility type. So pink is a good color to use in the wintertime. And somebody at the booth today said, I hate marking out in pink because my shoes end up pink. So I don't know if that's an issue for you guys, but I think it takes quite a guy to carry off pink shoes. So the utility company, now when you lay out your pre-mark, by law, the utility companies have to mark a 15-foot radius on the outside of your pre-mark. That way, if you're in conflict with the utility, you want to put a pole right here or a guardrail right here, and you find that there's something running right along there and you can't do it, you have the freedom to move 15 feet outside of that white-lined area. But any further than 15 feet, it would require another call to dig safe. But they have to look 15 feet on the outside of it. Always tag your pre-mark with your company initials. I drive all over New England and I see the words dig safe next to the white lining and the pre-marking. The locators want me to let you know that that's really not helping them because if it's white, the pre-marking is implied. If there's several jobs all in one span of roadway, or if you're on a construction site where 7 different contractors are working there, this way the locators, they arrive on the site. If you tag it as DPW, they know which ticket marries up with which pre-mark, so it helps them out to do that. Nothing else to be said about pre-marking. Now here's another one that you're probably going to hate, but there is a good solid reason for it. You have to give 3 business days notification now, not 2. The only other state in our territory that has a 48-hour notice, a 2-day wait, is Vermont. Vermont, there's 600,000 people and there's only 60 registered member utility companies. So that's why it's 48 there. Now Rhode Island, it's a busy call volume state for us. We get about 55,000 utility locate requests for the state of Rhode Island. You guys are number 2. Massachusetts has the most calls, Rhode Island's number 2. So you guys have a very busy excavation state, if you will. A lot of activity going on. The utility companies have been complaining for years that they simply don't have enough time to get to all of them in 2 business days. The 3-day wait is going to be a learning curve for some people. Just remember it's an extra day. And that's all I have to say about that. Utility companies, now you might like this one, this is new. Utility companies now, as of November 1st of last year, they have to mark active, newly installed, inactive, or abandoned facilities, which is great because a lot of times you run into deadlines and you don't know if they're live. From this point forward, they have to make a record every time they deactivate a utility line, so they know in the future if a dig-safe number comes in, they have to mark it as such for you. So that might be new. Newly installed facilities, we were having a problem in all 5 states. You know, a utility company will come in on an active dig-safe number, install a new gas line right in the middle of the roadway or right on a job site, but they didn't have to mark it out because there was an active dig-safe number already, so there was sort of a disconnect. Now, as soon as they install it, that person who installed it has to mark it right there on the site for you, which is nice. Now for emergencies, I gotta hand it, you guys are gonna love this one. In all 5 states, well now 4 states, the other states besides Rhode Island, there is no prescribed response time for emergencies. It doesn't say you have to respond within X amount of time to get to this person's emergency. Now in Rhode Island it does. This is the first time I've ever seen this. It's unprecedented. Excavator notification. You call us and say, I'm digging in 15 minutes. We don't expect you to wait for 3 days if it's a true emergency. What is a true emergency? It's got to be unanticipated and immediate. It has to be a threat to life, property, or the environment. Please don't phone in for an emergency if you're putting in new fire hydrants or if you're doing a road widening project. Those are things that are considered scheduled jobs. For emergencies, you can imagine there's a vast abuse of our emergency service. It's got to be a bona fide emergency. But you tell us when you're digging, and we're going to send that off to the utility companies, and they have to either call you within 2 hours of you notifying us to tell you they're not coming because there's nothing to mark out. Or, if there is underground facilities in that area, they've got to respond within 3 hours to get to your emergency. That's new. I've never seen this before. I kind of liked it. You might too. Because before there wasn't any mandated time for them to show up. Now, this was always part of the law. You have to respect the safety zone and dig with care. And what the heck does that mean? By law, excavators must use non-mechanized equipment when working within 18 inches of a marked underground facility. The #1 cause of utility damage in our 5 states is not failure to notify dig-safe. That's #2. The #1 cause of damage is one more scoop. It's the folks that get the dig-safe number and don't pay too much attention to the marks, or they assume that line's a lot deeper than it is. They'll put the bucket right over the markings and rip up that facility in 1 or 2 scoops. And that's what this regulation is addressing. You don't know how deep an underground facility is. Now, if it's a new installation, you can sort of guesstimate it. You can ask us to have the locators give you a depth on that line, but they'll hedge on that. There are depth indicators on the instruments they use, but they're not 100% reliable. And if they told you it was at 1.5 feet, we don't want you going down 2 inches shy of that right over that utility line. That's how people get hurt. So what they want you to do is when you see that mark, when you come within 18 inches of it, it's up to you to hand dig safely, to find that facility and ascertain what the depth and the location is before you move ahead with mechanized equipment. If the state finds teeth marks in a facility that was marked out within 18 inches, it's your responsibility. If you hit a line beyond that 18 inches that they didn't mark out, it's their responsibility. I want to show you what the safety zone looks like so when you encounter it in the field, you know how to calculate the safety zone. Now this is considered the center line method of marking. Most utility companies go this route. They're going to give you a double-ended arrow in the appropriate color, Here it's a symbol, G for gas. I'm using a gas marking here as an example. And with the center line method of marking, they're not showing you with paint how wide that pipe is. They're just telling you it's 6 inches wide. And you'd assume that this marking is over the center of the facility. As I said, the safety zone is the width of the facility plus 18 inches out on both sides. So if you encounter this mark, you first have to account for the width. If they're telling you it's 6 inches wide, how many inches on either side of this marking do you account for? 3. Exactly. So now you've accounted for the width. This isn't what they're painting, this is what you're doing yourself. So from that 3 inches out, you're going to go another 18 inches out. And that is considered your safety zone or tolerance zone. If they told you it was a 12-inch wide pipe, you want to put 6 inches on either side of that mark and then go 18 inches out. But that is considered your safety or tolerance zone. You got to dig by hand to find that line before moving ahead with mechanized equipment. Number one cause of damage. It's the folks that get that dig safe number and think it's licensed to hack, but it isn't. They expect you to be careful when you're working close to their facilities. Now, this was always part of the law. You have to start an excavation within 30 days. So if you call dig safe on June 1st, I got 5 minutes, oh my gosh. If you start an excavation, 3 minutes. I lost my train of thought. If you call us on June 1st, by July 1st, if you didn't begin the excavation, the ticket is null and void. You'd have to call us again. So please don't phone them too far in advance because you're creating more work for yourself and for the utilities that respond. Now, tickets are valid for 60 days though. If you start the excavation within that 30 days, that ticket is valid for 60. It used to be 30. Now you got another month to play with. That's something that's nice. If you have an ongoing job and you're beyond the 60 days, you would have to renew that dig safe number. Call us up, give us that existing dig safe number, and we'll refresh it for you and give you a new one. Or you can do that online, which I'll talk about in 3 minutes. You have to maintain the marks. Once the utility companies get out there and mark their underground facilities, it's up to you to make sure those marks are legible and fresh. It's not a valid argument to say, yeah, there was a gas marking here, but the rain washed it away or we dug it up ourselves. You've got to be on top of that and make sure that those marks are intact. How to do that? You can refresh the marks yourself. Some contractors establish what we call offset marks. If you know you're going to be digging up the center of the roadway where all the marks are, why not go off to the side of the road? Put a line with an arrow to say from this point, 12 feet out is the center of an underground facility. Some people, they buy all of the spray paint in the appropriate colors and go over the existing marks every now and again to make sure they're fresh. Or you can always call dig safe back for what we call a remark. Used to be 24 hours in Rhode Island, now it's 48. So the utility companies have a little bit more time to get out there for you and remark. If you call us for a remark, be specific about who you need out there. If electric lines have, if electric marks haven't been touched, don't have us send them back out there again. Just please be specific in who you need. Reporting violations. Our member utilities by law have to tell the state each and every time someone comes in contact with their utility lines. It's the only way we can really identify the root